Sometimes, loving with all your heart is much easier than receiving the same amount of love. Many are so used to giving it their all that they don't understand that this all is not enough for some and too much for others. So, how do you know how much is too much or how little is too little? Welcome and welcome to Cinema Express. This is Avinash Ramachandran, and in this video review episode, we are going to look at director Aanand L's Tere Ishk mein starring Dhanush, Kriti, Sanon, Prakash Raj, and a bunch of other actors. This review will have spoilers and do move ahead at your own discretion. So let's be clear, Anand's films are deeply polarizing. I've had issues with every single film he's made since Ranjana. I loved parts of it, I hated a few others, but never once felt disinterested. That's exactly what happens in Tere Ishk mein too. The film is all about the lives of two people who should have ideally not met and definitely not have fallen in love with each other. But it happens, and we are witness to their tumultuous relationship that burns them from the inside. Dhanush plays Shankar, a Tamil guy who has been in Delhi for over a decade and is hoping to use his college politics to make a quick buck here, and is basically someone who has no big ambitions or goals. And then you have Mukti, played by Kriti Sanon, who is doing her higher education in the field of psychology and is walking around in search for a guinea pig for her doctoral thesis about how violence can be removed from the body completely. After years of seeing the trope where the heroine loves the hero and changes him for the better or dies trying only to see him turn better after her untimely and convenient death, Anand decides to dish out the same trope but with a twist that will most certainly not be approved by the medical council of the world. But in the real, raw, and yet whimsical world of Anand, everything flies. I will spend time with you thinking it is for work and you can do it for love is probably the most nonsensical of ideas. But these portions work simply because Dhanush reclaims his youthful charm, a facet of his that wasn't being explored for a while now. He slowly opens up with her, and we can see how he gradually becomes vulnerable with every passing day. And simultaneously, we can also see Mukti understanding that he is becoming vulnerable and falling in love, but her relationship with him is means to an end, and his means everything till the end. Sparks would turn into glowing embers and a full blown fire very soon. But before all that, there's a scene where Shankar proposes to Mukti, and that was wonderfully staged, brilliantly performed, and gives us a sense of why he is volatile. And soon enough, all fiery hell breaks loose, and the film goes even more back in time to become a film about Amir Bap and Garib Ladka, how the rich use their power to get things done, how the poor never understand their limits, and even how many people in poverty live lives that aren't for them but for either their parents, their love, or their children. While the class debate is touched upon, that isn't the focus of Tere Ishq Mein. It is firmly about these two people and their all encompassing love that Anand loves to showcase. Now, one might take offense to such a romance where it isn't exactly love, but just the idea of it seems to be fascinating. Does Shankar really love Mukti? He might, but is this really pure love? Far from it. But does he think that his love is pure? Definitely. Now, this dichotomy is what makes Anand's films polarizing. While he doesn't go down the physical self harm route that Ranjana took, Tere Ishq Mein is more of the mental self harm kind. He also talks about the physical and mental harm that Mukti undergoes in this relationship. In fact, their love is so toxic and painful that it burns everything else, including them, and that happens just in its stride. Tere Ishq Mein is a deeply flawed film which accepts its flaws and flaunts them without rubbing your face in it. That's far from easy, and let's be honest, Anand doesn't do easy things. Time and again, he points out that Shankar is not right for Mukti, and he has no qualms in admitting that Mukti isn't right for Shankar either. But Shankar thinks she is right for him, and it's interesting how the writing is able to bring this distinction. Shankar is a confused character, while his upbringing and social conditioning add to that aspect. Anand and his co writer Himanshu point out that with a polar opposite upbringing and social conditioning, Mukti isn't that clear headed either. She likes to play God, he doesn't mind being the devotee, but yet devotion should be organic and can never be conditioned, seems to be the crux of Tere Ishq Mein. Nevertheless, despite my problems with Tere Ishq Mein, which starts from the fundamental ideas of how there is only one kind of love that is better than the rest, to the way Shankar's rage-fueled reactions are treated with kids' gloves, and how Mukti's change of heart and, in this case, liver, comes out of nowhere, I was deeply enamored by Tere Ishk Mein because of the terrific performances, towering soundtrack by A. Rahman, and the very fact that we still have a filmmaker sticking to his conviction, offering space for a debate, and making a film that makes me care enough to take offense to it. I can wax eloquently about Dhanush's performances in Tere Ishk Mein, but all I'd say is Dhanush isn't just one of India's best actors right now, he is one of India's best ever. They say madness is expecting a different result while doing the same thing again and again. I'd say genius is seemingly doing the same thing again and again, and yet giving the audience a different result every single time. Another such genius is A. Rahman, whose soundscape for Tere Ishq Mein is as all encompassing as Aanand L's films. In his music, silent pining, loud suffering, unbridled jubilation, and unfettered rage takes a form that makes you want to embrace it with open arms, lie on shoulders, and say, things will be alright, don't worry. The striking aspect of Tere Ishq Mein was Kriti Sanon, who gets a very, very tough role to pull off. We might have seen such Shankars in our lives, but Mukti is different. And not for a moment does Kriti allow Mukti go down. She never allows Mukti to bow down in front of any character, and Mukti ensures Kriti doesn't do that in front of any actor in this film. And the ever dependable Prakash Raj lends quiet dignity to a character that might seem underdeveloped for sure, but that's why you needed someone like Prakash Raj. He'd take care of these things. And he does that wonderfully in Tere Ishq Mein, and every scene with Dhanush feels like a happy extension of Tiruchitrambalam, and yet is beautiful on its own. And one of the most compelling cameos in recent times, which capitalizes on our seemingly unhealthy need of creating cinematic universes and yet retains the soul and authenticity that we have come to expect out of Anand's films. Is it far fetched? Yes, but everything he does is. Of course, there are quite a few scenes that didn't sit well with me at all, especially the last act. While the crisscrossing of timelines was interesting and it was intriguing to see how a Delhi Gunda becomes an IAF pilot, some portions felt too stretched out. There were also some scenes that give a major sense of deja vu and not of the comfortably happy kind. And as I said before, certain ideas that I fundamentally disagreed with. Walking out of the theatre and thinking of the world Anand and Co drew me into for almost 3 hours in Tere Ishq Mein, I was sure about just one thing. I don't want to receive such love, nor can I give it. But the catharsis of seeing it and the conviction Anand has in proclaiming to this cynical world that this is his idea of romance and he's not going to half-ass his representation, that just because he might face pushback and goes on to make one fine film while doing all of this, is why I think I have a kind of a soft corner for Tere Ishq Mein. Because sometimes, even if the heart isn't in the right place, the sheer passion makes you see things that even love can't. That's it for this video review episode. If you like this video, do let us know, and if you didn't, please let us know that too. Do subscribe to Cinemax for more such videos, and until we meet in the next episode, this is your friendly neighborhood critic, Avinash Ramachandran, signing off. Ta-ta!